How's it going, everybody? Slimer here, and I'm very excited to be bringing a kind of a series of a couple of videos I'm going to be doing, focused on Rax play versus Beast play, or yeah, Rax versus Beast, from the Rax perspective. And because I've done a large percentage of my videos really are Beast focused, and a lot of them really focused on Beast versus Rax or Beast versus Beast. So today I want to do something a little bit different. I want to kind of focus on Rax versus Beast, with the emphasis on learning kind of how Rax is going to work and how to play Rax versus Beast. And I've done a little bit of Rax videos, but I'm not the strongest Rax player in general. So today we're going to be kind of looking at Full Collapse and how he plays Rax versus Beast, and he has a very strong Rax in general. So we're going to kind of focusing on him as this game continues. So this is just a 1v1 game, me versus Full Collapse on Cloud Kingdom. It's a pretty good match, and hopefully we'll gain some insight on how Rax versus Beast is going to work. Just to quickly go over the opening build orders, I go for 1 den, he's going for Castle first, which is going to give him, if he gets away with this, a slight economic edge. But it's not really a big deal either way. Obviously, he's going to have a lot more gold, but as we look at the gold counts as the game progresses, we're going to see exactly what kind of advantage, if any, comes out. So let's talk a little bit about Rax versus Beast from the Rax player's perspective. Against a Beast player, you have a lot of issues securing your third base in a decently timed manner. Because, and by the way, we're talking about 2 den all in here. But that's a topic for another day. So I'm going to be putting a little bit of pressure on with my wolves. Look at that, sick micro, don't lose a single wolf. Heh. It'd be funny if I had lost wolf, I don't remember. But anyway, because of the way wolves work in the early game, the Rax player cannot really move out to take a third base, where the Beast player can off of very low wolf counts. So the Rax player really is kind of forced to cut corners a lot, go for like castle first to try to get any kind of gold advantage, because the longer the game goes, usually the Beast player will get a minor gold advantage. And you can even see here, this is already decent enough damage in my opinion as the Beast player. Like, as long as I lose a wolf here, and I'm gonna lose another wolf here, which is this one was a larger mistake. But as you can see, he's lost 2 workers, I've lost 2 wolves, and the gold mining he's still almost 200 ahead, but which is a nice advantage for him for sure. Let's look at the units and see what the and he's actually quite ahead in worker count. So yeah, he's actually in a really nice position economic wise. And that just goes to show the power of that castle first. Which is why I almost think 1 den is a little not viable at the moment. In my opinion, I think it's either 2 den. You either go castle first yourself, or go home. Either go castle first, or go all in. Go 2 den, in my opinion. But I don't want to talk about Beast. I'm trying to focus on Rax. He gets out a second Rax, and this is the key thing that really this whole video is going to be focusing on. Is for a long time, the meta for Rax players was to cut corners to get very quick upgrades off of 1 Rax and get like a third base, and use Sim City to defend your third base from the wolves, because the wolf player would often go a low wolf count and get a very fast third base. In this case, I'm doing something a little different. I'm going for a 3 den. Actually, it should be 4 den, but I'm going for a heavy wolf pressure. And this is one of the weaknesses of the single Rax play. I found if the Rax player goes for a single Rax play, you have so much trouble defending against really heavy committed 2-base wolf all-in, like what I'm doing in this game. So what Full Collapse has decided to do to counter this is to get a quick second Rax, and to basically build up a force of about 7 Rax units, and push out with this force at a fairly early timing in the game, and basically neglect the third base for quite a long time. And in a standard Beast game, the Beast player is already going to have a third castle going up at this timing. And we're going to probably see in a video after this how a slightly different Beast versus Rax game is going to play out if the Beast player goes for more greedy Rax. Anyway, I'm going for this all-in, or it's not really an all-in, but it's just a very strong Wolf presence in the game, and this is obviously a tricky situation for the Rax player, because usually the Rax player does not want to bleed out units at all, and in this situation he's going to definitely lose all these units to my Wolves. Now he gets a really strong position right here, up against the back here, and he's going to just trade fantastic in this engagement, as you're about to watch. Meanwhile, he is getting his third base out. So this is just really solid Rax play. He's building off of 2 Rax, just very tight build order. He's going to be losing a lot of units over here, but when we look at the income, you can see he's quite ahead in the units lost tab here. That's going to start evening up for sure as these Rax units die in a second. But again, the income, he's like 300 gold ahead in the units tab, and he's way ahead. Whoa, did I cut workers? I must have made a pretty huge error, because I'm way behind in workers. So I'm basically in a really bad position right now, because of how far behind I am in workers. And he's also getting his third base up at a much, much faster time. And I've kind of sacrificed to get this Dragon's Lair out, it looks like. So this is kind of the issue with the all-in wolf play. You get a ton of wolves, right? But the Rax player is going to be not so far. The Rax player is not going to be behind in castle timing like in a standard game. And as you can see, just pretty decent Sim City here. Tower in the back. Over here, he's got the barracks and the tower to Sim City. This is important as a Raxing player. He's just been continuing to macro out soldiers, and that's the advantage of having this 2 Rax. If you get the second Rax much later, you just don't have the unit count that the 2 Rax is going to play is going to give you. And this gives him a lot of safety. This gives the Rax player a lot of safety from early wolf counts that could otherwise cause a lot of trouble. So you can see the macro is just excellent for full collapse here. He's at 27 workers. He only needs a handful. He only needs this one more cycle of workers to have full saturation. An interesting thing to note in this game is he has actually cut his upgrades. And also my upgrades are quite late. I have not quite cut them. I've actually got them going. He's going to be throwing down upgrades pretty soon, I think. But in general, he's been focusing on just getting a very strong wolf soldier count out and getting a very quick economic strength. Whereas usually Rax players will get those upgrades a little bit sooner. And I'm just really far behind. This is actually a bit of a sloppy game from me so far. I'm quite far behind in the worker count. And this just goes to show Rax is a style that you can just you're gonna win games if you just play it solidly macro. You don't need flashy micro. Really, am I getting lag or something? Really, sometimes the units tab gives you lag, but you don't need flashy micro as the Rax player. I mean, you saw Full Collapse had some nice micro where he pulled the units back over here, and I'm gonna snipe that down, which is gonna be nice. But other than that, you know, just macro. Keep solid production up. Interesting to note, he's actually only on 3 Rax, so he's just continuing to keeping solid production every second. I think this game's something a little higher. Just solid production every second, not letting the production queues fall silent unless he's microing other things, just like right now. And now he's just got this very strong Rax force. He didn't have anything to defend here, but generally, like, the wolves are going to be able to do less damage than soldiers, just because soldiers have so much damage. So even if you're like base trading, like semi-base trading, I killed, you know, 6 workers, right? He is going to totally snipe this base down completely, which is going to cause much worse economic problems for me. By the way, I'm macroing fairly poorly here, but he did trade a lot of units for this. And right now the game is actually kind of pretty neck and neck, actually. He's just getting his advanced workshop, he's just getting his +1 attack, whereas the beast player has already gotten, well, +1 and +2 on the way, so I guess I'm not that far ahead. I thought I was more far ahead in upgrades, but I wasn't. And obviously, not having this economy is just crippling. If we look at the income if we look at the income, his total income is just getting out of control ahead of me. Like, he's almost 1,000 gold. Yeah, 800 gold roughly ahead of me, and his current income is also increasing because he's got that third gold. He's got that third base. Now, obviously, it's always a little tricky to deal with dragons, and this is another piece of the racks puzzle which you need to use in your own games, and that is, of course, the advanced workshop. It's always a good stopgap measure to get a tower at each base because that limits the amount of damage dragons can do. The dragons are eventually going to have to leave, right? They can only stay for so long until their hit points run out. But you really kind of need the advanced workshop, in my opinion, to really get that endgame GG army and really shut down the dragon harass. And we're going to see that a little bit later in the game. And this is just one of the things you need to really be good at. And this is why dropships are so effective, right? Because my dragons are just bouncing between bases, using their HP and stuff, and really disrupting Full Collapse's harvesting. You can see the total income is really low right now. I make a bit of a miss micro there, losing the dragon, which is pretty bad. Also, I forgot to mention that I had gotten this base, so I kind of, instead of rebuilding this base, which I do eventually, I transferred it here. But as the racks player, you have to really realize where your strengths are, and it's kind of like a timing based. Like, Beast is all about micro, map control, and getting damage done, whereas Racks is all about defense, solid defense, and then just moving out with unstoppable force, like you saw earlier, and just hitting timings, hitting the Beast player when the Beast player is just not ready. And you can see I'm frantically trying to get a couple werewolves ends out. Also trying to reset my economy. And now if we look at the supplies, he's just, Full Collapse is a nice 20 supply ahead, just from this solid racks micro. And again, he's only on 4 racks, so you don't necessarily need that many racks. I like to go up to 5 or 6 if I have the money, but this game has been a little crazy. So it's understandable that he hasn't fully got his complete force up yet. And you can see he's still decently ahead in the income. He's a little behind in the income immediate, but he's still ahead in the total gold mined. And now he's just moving across. And without werewolves, this force is like unbeatable. Once you get two ballistae, a bunch of soldiers, and some archers, it's like so hard for a beast player to deal with this. Like, even if you had maxed out wolves, you'd be in a lot of trouble. So I'm gonna snipe workers down here with my dragons. Also note that Full Collapse is kind of focusing mostly on units in this game, not so much on upgrades. I think Racks players, like, my opinion on upgrades is Beast has to be at least equal to have a good chance, and would like to be ahead. Whereas Racks doesn't have to be ahead. Racks can play from behind pretty effectively because your units are already doing plenty of damage. You're never in a situation where you're in big trouble. Now, the only caveat to that is if once werewolves get on the field, then upgrades become like totally essential. And if you're one upgrade behind, you're in big trouble versus werewolves. But against wolves and dragons, it's not such a big deal. And just judging from the game state, you can kind of tell that it's going to be hard for the beast player to be getting werewolves out. Like, I need about 2 minutes to get like 4 werewolves out and these upgrades before my army is going to be strong enough to actually beat this. And Full Collapse has the killer instinct, and he's just sniping down bases here because he knows he needs to move fast. And that's kind of the thing about Racks. Once you have this force that's going to win the game, you don't want to just sit around and dally. You want to just go in, hit hard, hit fast, and wreck face. You don't really have to worry about dragons once you have the airship, and you don't really have to worry about wolves once you have this count of soldiers and archers. So from this position, you just walk in, get good positioning on your units, and A-move, basically. Werewolves are good, but they're not that good. Towers are good, but they're not that good. It's just a very tricky situation for the beast player. And you're going to see how the Racks units are just going to butter through this force and completely crush my defenses. So to kind of recap, as we watch these Racks units just crush last of my defenses here. Both maps went for a castle first, which is a very nice build. In my opinion, 1 Rax and 1 Den are kind of dead, in a way. Like, I think they're still viable if you think your opponent's going to cheese you, but if your opponent's playing standard, they just are not effective compared to castle firsts. It's just the way the meta is right now. So he got a nice economic advantage, which he never really relinquished the entire game. Look, you can see he's 2k ahead at this point. From there, he went for this 2 Rax timing, which gives him safety against the amount of wolves that I had. Like, if he goes for 1 Rax expand or something, he's not going to have the forces to defend. He's just going to lose the game. He traded equal over here, and it also bought time to get his 3rd base established and a large force of units to defend his 3rd base. And then later on in the game, he was able to counterattack with those with the amount of units he'd been building up and just crush my 3rd base, and from there just win the economic game. So, and then of course he transitioned to Ballistade to counter the dragons. You're going to probably take, against a good beast player, you're going to take a bit of damage to the dragons. You're going to take a bit of damage to run-bys. You just need to work on your Sim City, leave units at each base. Once you get past that stage, there's a very subtle stage in Rax vs. Beast where the beast player is trying to do damage to you, and you're going to lose some workers, but as long as you don't let it get out of control, and once you stabilize, like you just need to stabilize on all your bases, right? And once you stabilize with towers and ballistay, once you get 2 ballistays and a dropship, then you can safely like move across the map, and even if the dragons counterattack, they're not going to kill you, right? And the Rax player will kill the beast player. Like, that army of soldiers and archers will kill and will totally demolish the beast player's forces. So hopefully this video gave you a nice idea of Beast versus Rax. I'm going to be releasing 2 more videos after this, which show me showcasing a very similar Beast versus Rax versus Beast. I would say Beast versus Rax. I play Beast so much. I will be showcasing a similar style on a couple different maps, and hopefully this will give you a clear idea of Beast versus Rax and kind of the compositions and strategies which are required in the matchup. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. We're just gonna watch the bitter end of this video as I try to desperately kill some units, which I wasn't in the game. I actually wasn't really sure what the game state was. I wasn't sure what kind of supply he was on, but as you can see, he's just way far ahead of me. He's gonna wreck me, and the game is gonna end. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, don't forget to give it a like down below and subscribe to the channel. And look for some more videos dealing with Rax coming out very soon. And I will catch you guys later.